So you mentioned your stepdad. He had PTSD, and he obviously brought that into the household. How do you prevent from bringing your background into the household?
So my girls understand that I just refer to them as like, you know, issues from being a soldier, right? So like my girls know not to come in and shake me to wake me up. They'll come in and tap my foot, because if you come in and shake me, then I often wake up ready to fight because I don't understand or know where I'm at. So there's things that I've addressed with my girls and I've built my life around. So to them, it's normal, right? Like, hey, dad's having a bad day. He's going to go off and do his own thing. And now that my wife is involved, she has been a godsend in that aspect, because it's like, hey, your dad's having a bad day, keep it out here and I'll take care of it. And the same thing, like, you know, I've never hit my girls. I try not to raise my voice with them. There are certain things that I look at and I'm very protective about with them. Even to the extent of like, you know, some boy next door was yelling at my daughter and I'm like, hey, nope, that's not how boys treat girls. That's not okay. And so they know that. And to them, I'm just their safe place, but they also know you don't complain to dad about what we're eating for dinner, because he's going to tell you one of his stories. Like, you don't complain about the fact that there's anything about the house. Like if there's an issue to fix, that's one thing, but complaining is another. And so, they know a little bit about my past, but I keep most of it from them intentionally until they're older.
Are you a good father?
I think so.
Where did you learn that from?
From my dorm parents, honestly. So I still refer to them as my parents. So my kids have 3 sets of grandparents. You know, one of my dads is a pastor. We go to the church and we sit in the pastor's family section. So that's where I learned that from is those men were amazing examples. And the one that's the pastor is honestly one of, if not the best man I've ever met in my life.
What was that stark contrast like, where you had your biological father, and then you had someone that it's like an angel maybe to you? Like what was that? How did you had to juxtapose those two, and then how did you just come to terms with that? Because that's got to be a really tough thing as a kid.
I didn't as a kid, to be honest. It took me until probably my mid-20s to early 30s to begin to process it. And then once I had kids, I was able to truly process it, because I didn't understand. And for me, it was always just, well, you're doing that because you have to. It's your job, right? You don't really love me. And then after having kids, being able to process, for lack of better terms, the hell I put them through, and going, okay, you don't do that for money, right? You do that because you care. And how do I become that, right? How do I replicate that with my own kids?